Welcome back. Why did you leave me? Oh, I don't know. Kids these days. All right, this is 2.5b because it's the issues related to information systems. And now we're going to talk about, first of all, we talked about the accuracy of data. Now we're going to talk about a little bit about data validation. Now, what data validation does is it checks the entry of data. And there's a number of ways that it actually checks it. So if you can imagine, what you have to do is when you enter data into, say, a database, initially what the database administrator does is sets it up to say, okay, this is the only data that I'm going to accept. And then what you have to do is make sure that you put in that data. But there's a varying degrees of different ways that data is validated or checked. And here they are. So the first one is what's known as range check. All right, I'll just want to see what we do with range check is it's data that's restricted to a small range of particular values. Like, for example, when we talk about how you enter days, months, and years. And so we say DD/MM/YYYY. And of course, a range check could be used to determine whether the first two digits are in the range of 1 to 31, because if you're checking a date, you can only have 1 to 31. And in the second set of digits, you could have, say, 1 to 12. So a range check checks to make sure that the data that enters is within a range, and that's because the range check is usually a number value or a date value or something like that. The next one you can see there is a list check, and that is based on a list of accepted values. Now let's take, for example, the Estates of Australia. Now when you fill out a form, and whether it's online or whether it's in a database, you can put in your state, and sometimes it comes up with what's known as a combo box or a pull down menu, and you can choose your state. But if you get to type it and you type NSX, which if you're looking at your textbook, it says Australian state NSW would be accepted, but NSX won't be accepted, because the list check checks to make sure that you are putting in the right data. The next one is a type check, and it's used to check to make sure that you have typed in the correct information. Now it says here, check see figure 2.28. So I'm just going to go animal faces. Yes, I'm doing some morphing. We'll learn about that later. Textbook. This is the one that takes forever to load. Come on, you can do it. So it's going to show me, if you're looking at the textbook, if you turn over your page, you will see, and we're actually loaded a lot faster than expected. You're all awesome. Oh, itchy nose, got a scratch. All right, so we go 2.5. I even know what the diagram looks like, so I'm just going to go, yep, there it is. Oh, no. There it is. Okay, so let's bang, 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 bang. All right. Oh, come on, settle down. Right, so then we have here, this is what's known as a type check. You can see here, where's my mouse? Oh, you can barely see my mouse, but I'm circling that. The 0 is wrong. It's actually, they're put in an O, and it comes up with an error, and it says, oh no, you've done that wrong. So that's what a type check is, right? Now the next one, where am I going? Goodness me, I'm so organized. The next one is a check digit, and that is calculated from the digits of code number, and then added to that number as an extra digit. For example, an ISBN number, I need to sort of show you this. Let's go back, right? For example, an ISBN number, an ISBN number, right, has a check digit of 4. That's the check digit of 4. And the check digit is calculated from this. It gets a result of 4, right? And people have actually proven that they can work these ISBN numbers out, and they tell you what that number is. There's even a guy, the Cool Maths guy, who works out what the barcode numbers will be. I think he's a bit of a freak in nature, but anyway, that's him and not me. So that's what a check digit does. Right? It works out a complex calculation and it spews out that information. Well, it doesn't spew, it sort of regurgitates, which is actually spew anyway. So there we go. The next one we're talking about, as far as social and ethical issues, is data integrity. Now, what that is defined as is the reliability of the data. Now, in your big Samuel Davis textbook, it talks a lot about how you can check the reliability of the data, and it's pretty cool. Like, there's all these different things where, is the source from a proper source? Is it not tomato sauce, but an actual source? Is there more than one? All these sort of things. So I'd recommend you look at that and make sure that you are aware of the different types of ways in which we can check the reliability of the data as well. So that's something that we need to make sure. Now, if it's reliable, it will be accurate, current, and relevant, right? However, there's no guarantee that the data received from the internet is reliable. But you can really sort of. I mean, these days everyone sort of can tell because Google. When you Google something, it's usually the top one is the one that really is what you're looking for. Well, most of the time, it just depends on what you're actually Googling. Then we have an issue about data, which is called privacy. And privacy is defined as the control of personal data. And we need to sort of make sure that, I think Sebastian, one of our students, made a very interesting point about privacy. You eventually will become a commodity. You'll have to buy your privacy because we're so online these days that, a lot of our data is already there. But privacy is the control of data. And usually when we're talking about privacy, we're talking about things like things that we don't want other people to know. So that is things like medical records, our account details and stuff like that. So that's a bit of privacy stuff. And of course, our banks use data, or they use data and databases to store information about their customers. And if that gets out, then of course there's real major problems. And I heard that when the Interview movie came out, that Sony Pictures were actually hacked by North Korea, and they stole, first of all, they stole all the admin passwords, so then they could just basically gain access to whatever they wanted. And then what they did was they went through everyone's emails and they broadcast their emails, and they were quite personal emails. They even broadcast what new movies were coming out and all sorts of stuff like that. So that was a bit of an interesting thing to talk about when you talk about data and access to data and privacy. Of course, data is confidential, and if there is a breach of confidentiality, then that's a very serious ramification. We hear about it all the time as well. All right, so then of course we have access to data, and I'm going to pause this video or stop this video because I've gone for too long, and I'm going to break it up into another segment.